Hmm. Dragons are basically just dinosaurs with wings, right? Oh, we're going. Howdy, y'all. Caleb here. Today we are talking about the real giant lizards. We've got dragons. They're called dinosaurs, and they're in thunder lizards. So today we're going to do some list building on the thunder lizard subfaction for Seraphon. We're going to point out a few things about what the subfaction does, and we'll take a look at some of my lists, and of course, some deployments and some pictures of those armies. But first, leave me some lists for Thunder Lizards in the comments. I can't cover all the units in a Thunder Lizard list building, and so, I need something with some Croxagore. I've got some Croxagore I need to see the table, or Croak. All these lists I got today, somehow Croak just did not make it into it, so I need to see a Thunder Lizard Thunder Lizard list with Croak in it. So let me know what your Thunder Lizard list is. All right. So first off, we got some abilities for Thunder Lizards to cover real quick. And on Thunder Lizards, we've got a couple of different abilities. The first one is Mighty Beasts of War. We add 2 to our wound characteristics for our monsters in Thunder Lizards. That's nice. It gives us a little bit extra wounds on all our monsters, especially because in Coalesce, they're taking -1 to the damage on attacks that are coming into them. And so this really helps them stay alive just a little bit longer. Gives those heroes a little bit more health. It's quite nice. Command ability. Now, this command ability used to be amazing in the previous edition of Age of Sigmar. In Age of Sigmar 3.0, it's not quite as good. And so I'm not building my lists around this command ability. What this does is it allows you, at the end of your shooting phase, to pick one Bastiladon that's in your army or an Engine of the Gods and use that ability again. You can either shoot the Bastiladon or you can use the Cosmic Engine for the Engine of the Gods. And that used to be amazing when you could double tap that command ability on different units. But now you can only use this command ability once, because in Age of Sigmar 3 rules, you can only use each command ability one time per phase. And so you've got to really prioritize. Are you going to bring an Engine of the Gods or Bastiladon? Or are you going to bring them both and then just kind of choose which one that you want to use at the end of the shooting phase? So keep that in mind when you're list building. I don't think you're going to be spamming Bastiladons. You're definitely not going to be spamming Engines of the Gods, but you still might bring one of both, depending on the list. Command trait, Thunder Lizard General with Monster Mount. Must have this command trait. It's Prime War Beast. It's add 1 to the attack characteristics of the weapons used by this general's mount. So this does affect the mount, which is great because we have some monsters that have some great attacks. And so add this to your Carnosaur to get an extra huge bite attack, or add it to a Stegodon to just stack more attacks onto those profiles, and you can get them up to where they're doing quite a few attacks. So this is great. You can get out of it if you make your general not a monster, and so that'll let you out of this. But in Thunder Lizards, we're bringing monsters. Our artifact is a Fusel of Conflagration. In your shooting phase, you pick one enemy unit within 12 of the bear, invisible to them, roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. You destroy the artifact. On a 2 to 3, nothing happens. On a 4 to 5, they take D3 mortal wounds, and on a 6, they suffer D6 mortal wounds. Not the best artifact, but it's quite useful. There'll be plenty of games where you roll for an extra D3 mortal wounds. We're kind of already plinking out mortal wounds a lot in this army, and so this really helps us just get a few more. There'll also be some games where you roll a 1 the first time you use it, and it destroys itself. So it is what it is. Not a terrible artifact, not a great artifact. I'm not going to go over like the major strengths and weaknesses of Thunder Lizards, but I do want to highlight a couple things. And one of those is the Stegodon. It is a behemoth normally, but in Thunder Lizards, it changes to Battle Line. So it loses that behemoth keyword, and it gains the Battle Line keyword. And that's going to be huge in list building, because Age of Sigmar 3 kind of limits how many monsters that you can bring to your normal 4, but you can get around that with this Battle Line rule. It also extremely helps with list building in the new battalions, because it's very easy to slot in a troop, which is what the Stegodon becomes in Thunder Lizards, instead of monsters. And so it's very, instead of behemoths. So it's very easy to fit Stegodons into the battalions. Also of note, the Engine of the Gods does have the artillery keyword. It also has, the leader and behemoth keyword, but I'm always looking to put that Engine of God in that artillery slot of the battalions because it does have that keyword. I think it's kind of unique. It may be the only hero that is also artillery in the game. I'm not sure. Let me know if I'm wrong, but that makes it a pretty unique role in the battalions. Speaking of which, the battalions, we've talked about this in the last video, but the battle regiment is one that you'll see a whole lot. This reduces everything in this battalion to 1 drop, and so this will really help you get your drops low. But this is also where we find that nice artillery keyword, so we can fit in an extra monster hero into that artillery slot, and so we can really maximize the number of hero monsters we bring. We get 1 in the battle regiment as your commander. So you can take a big monster hero there. You can take Stegodons as your troops because they've lost the behemoth keyword and gained battle line. And then you can take an Engine of the God as the artillery. So you can get a lot of monsters into that battle regiment. If you need more monster heroes, you can also take a Warlord battalion where you can fit in 2 behemoth heroes. But you also have to take 2 heroes on foot. So keep that in mind. That does get you access to the extra artifact, which is very valuable, especially because a lot of our monsters, well, the Stegodon hero monsters have fantastic artifacts. And there's a couple good ones that are also in the generic book that we can add onto our Carnosaurs that I think are better than our books for Carnosaurs. So we will be running those 2 a lot, Warlord and Battle Regiment, as I think standard list building goes. You end up with a 5-drop army. If you can go less than that, you're probably going to get to choose priority. If you're going more than that, you probably are not getting to choose priority. So let's look at my first list here. And this is a 1-drop Thunderlizard list. I kind of started this off as like, in my head, I was thinking this would not be a good list. I wanted to fit everything into Battle Regiment as 1-drop army. And I kind of like this army. I'm not going to lie. I actually kind of like this one. Now that I had built it and looked at it and put it on the table, I kind of like it. Okay, so in the Battle Regiment, our commander is going to be our Skink Chief on Stegodon, and he's going to get our command trait and our artifact, Primal War Beast and Fusel Conflagration. We're taking 2 foot heroes here with a Star Priest and a Star Seer. They're going to help me generate command points. They're also wizards, and Star Priest pairs up really well with a unit of 5 knights. We've talked about those before in the knight video. Together, they can put out quite a bit of damage. Pop a command point on those knights, and you're looking at some great damage for their point cost. The Skink Starseer, I really like pairing the Skink Starseer up with the Gymnids. That makes a fantastic combo where you're able to throw Gymnids onto something, and Gymnids will do a little bit of mortals now, not much. I think maybe just 1 now. Maybe on a 2-up too. I can't remember. But it also prevents them from using a command point on that unit until the next combat phase. And so everything that you're going to be doing in between hero and the next combat phase, they're not going to be able to use a command point on that unit. And then you're going to get to move Gymnids again in their hero phase, and you're going to get to do that again. So there's a lot of things that you can shut down on an important unit with that. Now you pair that with the Starseer's native spell, which will reduce their save by 1. And now all of a sudden, they're not able to do all-out defense in the shooting. They're -1 to their save. And so when we're hitting them with these Stegodons and the Stegodon Chief with those bows are only -1 rend. But now that unit is effectively -2 rend, and they can't use all-out defense. And so you're really hampering a unit, especially when you're shooting with these low quantity but high quality. You really want to get those 3 damage shots through, and that really helps. You can do a ton of damage to that, but it also helps if you're just trying to position on the board. It keeps them from using those command points to reposition, to do some other things that command points are used for, to overwatch or unleash hell. So I've also got 3 Stegodons as my battle line in this army. So that gives me some nice, good monster punch. Love the Stegodons. 2 units of 5 knights to pair up with those 2 skink heroes we talked about, and an Engine of Gods. And so we can pop that Engine of Gods ability if we need to heal up our Stegodons. I like running them with those Stegodons so that the engine can just continually heal those Stegodons, and you can do it twice. So you're talking up to 2 D3 heals for those Stegodons, which is very nice. I'm also taking Life Swarm, and I'm probably going to be trying to cast that from the Skink Star Priest if I can, so that I can return any knights that I need to, or I can heal up these monsters, make them an extra tough, so I can get an extra heals there. So I kind of like it. It's a 1-drop army. You're going to outdrop the majority of lists on the table. You're taking 5 big monsters. You're taking 2 units of either screens or objective grabbers, but they can also do some damage, especially in this loadout. Just an example deployment here. I've kind of got my castle here in the middle that can either push forward or push to whichever side they need, and my engines in the back just to keep them all healed up. I'm kind of screening my heroes with the Stegodons. Interesting screen there. And I've also got my 2 units of knights with their support heroes here on the sides, and they'll be able to push up with them. You could always double up on one in this game type, which is basically the old shifting objectives. I think it's called like tectonic interference now. There's not really any reason to go for all 3, I don't think. So you would really be pushing to score on 2 of those, but maybe a deployment, something like that. All right, list number 2. I just wanted to go as many monsters as I could. You can't just do straight Stegodons anymore. You end up with some weird point totals if you do that, because everything went up in price, and before they got the price hike, you were just barely fitting in 8 Stegodons. But I could still fit in 8 monsters. And this is a 2-drop army here, and we're going as many monsters as we can. I've got 2 battle regiments. And so that gives me my Scarvet Carnosaur in each of those. That's an incredibly cheap hero monster, and I really like those guys. They're pretty weak unless you can apply some synergies into them, so they'll go down pretty fast. But they can still put out quite a bit of damage, especially in Gur, which was what we're playing in this year, and that you can make them fight at top bracket using a command point. So an excellent 215 points for a monster hero. Great price for that, and I really like them in this one. And then I'm taking 2 Stegodons in each of these battle regiments as my battle line to fill out those battle regiments, and that gives me 4 Stegodons battle line on the table. That is a lot of fun to play with. And then I'm fitting in my Engine of the Gods in that artillery slot in one battle regiment, and in the other one I'm putting a Behemoth Bastiladon with Solar Engine in the other one. And so we've got effectively 3 big monster heroes, and we've got 4 big monster battle lines and 1 Bastiladon in this list. That's 1990 points, 86 wounds, and 2 drops. It's not bad if you're looking for a low model count army. You're taking 8 models to the table. I mean, this is awesome. This would be a lot of fun to play, and when we see it on the table, I mean, it just looks cool too. Like, what are you going to attack? I've got monsters everywhere. Now that they count for 5 on objectives to capture them, you might actually be able to win some objectives too. So obviously you wouldn't spread out this much. You're not going to try to attack all 3 objectives at one time. You're going to focus on 2, but that is pretty cool. I'm gonna put a Carnosaur kind of supporting each of those Stegodons. I wish I could get a Stegodon Chief into this list. You just don't really have enough points to do it. So he's going to be there to support these 2 in case they need any command points spent on them. And then my engine and the Bastiladon will hang out together. I'm gonna make sure and top off that Bastiladon, and I need a hero next to him so that he can fire twice if needed. So definitely a fun list. 8 model army, 8 monsters going to that list. That's a lot of fun. All right, list 3. Let's go to list 3 here. And this one, instead of going max monsters, I'm going max artifacts. I wanted to see how many artifacts I could get in a list and still have a decent list. And so to do that, you need 2 Warlord battalions. And that kind of limits how many monsters you can kind of take, monster heroes you can take, because you've got to have 2 heroes on foot. And so you end up with all your hero slots filled up with 1 hero and then 2 on foot in each battalion. And so you're going to have to fill out the rest of your army with something else. So in my first Warlord Battalion, I'm taking a Stegadon Chief, and I'm giving him Prime War Beast, which is the command trait for Thunderlizards, and Amulet of Destiny from the book, which is that 5-up ward save. That's awesome. Artifact makes the Steg Chief a lot tougher. If you're putting him into the right target, he has a base 4-up save. If it's 5 or less models he's attacking, you're going to a 4-up save, or a 3-up save, sorry. And if you're facing a lot of Ren, spend a command point, you got another +1 to your save. And then you've still got your 5-up ward save on top of that. And so this makes him quite difficult to kill. I love that, especially when you reduce him -1 to damage. All of a sudden, that guy is scary tough. Also in the Warlord Battalion, I'm taking a Skink Priest and a Skink Star Priest. Both of these are going to be paired up with a 30 block of Skinks. You're thinking, wait, Skinks and Thunderlizards? Well, I was building the list, and I realized I had 225 points left over after I had filled in everything else. And I was like, well, it's meant to be. Here's 30 Skinks. That does give this the bodies you need, but it also gives you a good punch. The Skinks can hit hard in Coalesced just as hard as they do in Fangs. The only problem in Coalesced is their bravery is terrible. And so you do have to babysit their bravery. Keep one command point on hand so that you can always save them for Battle Shock. And so you don't want them running because their bravery is 5 in Coalesced. And so you want to make sure you're able to save that. You can either do that with a spell. You can take a spell with the Star Priest to do that, to keep them from having to take bravery. But generally, I just keep a command point around for that. So that's a good combo there. We got those two heroes with those Skinks. Another Stegadon, of course, to fill out the other battle line. Then we've also got another Stegadon Chief with Cloak of Feathers, which is amazing. Cloak of Feathers, you want to always try to get to that artifact if you can. It's -1 to hit, +4 to move, and fly. Just a fantastic artifact for a big monster hero. So we've got 2 Stegadon Chiefs that are going to be hard to kill in Thunderlizards. I've got 2 more Skink Priests, and they're going to be buffing my Stegadon Chief and my other Stegadons. These Skink Priests can let a unit that has a Skink keyword, so all your Stegadons, run and shoot and charge in the same turn, and it gives them +1 to their hits. So they have a lot of abilities. We talked about this in the last video. So these little guys are amazing to go in with all these Stegadons. And so I'm looking to get this Stegadon Chief who has Cloak of Feathers one of these prayers off so he can run and shoot and charge. If I don't get on the first priest, I'm going for the second one. If I don't get it from the second one, I'm going for the third one, because I want that Stegadon Chief to have +4 to its move from Cloak of Feathers. I'm going to auto run it for +6. I'm going to turn the Constellation to +1 to run and charge. So now that guy is going 19 inches, and he's flying and still charging with +1 to his charge. So he's going anywhere. He's going over your opponent's screens into the middle of their army and killing something that's important to them. And so that's your little ballistic missile that they're going to be shocked at how fast and that this Stegadon can fly. And so if you get it on the first prayer from a Skink Priest, well, pass his other not prayers ability, pass his other abilities, his other Stegadons, and now you're hitting them with 2, maybe 3 Stegadons turn 1 and causing a lot of problems. And not only that, then you're hitting them with 60 shots doing mortal wounds from Skinks. You are 10 drops, so that is going to hurt some, but it could be a devastating army to play against. So it's 2,000 points, 96 wounds, 10 drops, but that looks like a lot of fun on the table. You can always mix it up where you want to put your Skinks, deploy your Skinks based on what you're wanting to take out with them. On a lot of these maps, you're 18 inches away. They have 16-inch range. They don't have to move much to be in range turn 1. They can move 8. They don't even need to move all that. They have great range, especially on these shorter tables. I'm putting my Skink Priests to where they can buff my Cloak of Feathers general. so that he can hit whatever I need to. I probably wouldn't plow him right into those guys, although the trolls will be fine, I guess. But you're looking for those juicy targets in the back. You know, their support hero that they want to protect. And you're going to be moving fast enough and have a good enough charge that you're going to fly over their screens into their juicy targets. And then, of course, Stegodons are always fun to shoot, so you've still got plenty of shooting. Basically everything in this army shoots. So you've got a gun line here that's going to be shooting your enemy and getting in their face. Love that list. It's a lot of fun. High drops, real high drops, but a lot of fun. All right, list 4. This is my mixed list here. I was trying to go for, put these battalions together and kind of see if I could get a good mixture of melee, magic, and Stegodons. So I am taking a warlord battalion and a battle regiment for these, and so I can get the extra artifact because I think that extra artifact is so worth it, especially when we have some good foot heroes to take. So in the warlord, I'm taking the Scarvet on Carnosaur. I'm taking 2 skink priests or skink star priests and 2 units of knights. Those are, you've kind of seen those run together a lot, a skink star priest and knights, and they have amazing ability to synergize with each other. And so I've got 2 groups that can operate on their own if they need to, or I can pair them up with that Scarvet, and now we've got a scary bubble of melee damage coming at you. More than likely, I'm going to be spreading the skink priest with a unit of knights, and then probably using that Scarvet as like that distraction Carnifex. I'm going to send him shooting up the middle. I'm gonna try to bait them into attacking him, and then counterattack with my other stuff. On the other battalion here, I've got an Engine of the Gods. I had to put it in my hero slot this time just because I was running low on points. And so I put the Engine of the Gods in the hero slot, gave him Prime War Beast, gave it Amulet of the 5-up, Wards, Amulet of Destiny. And I like that amulet on the Engine of the Gods because it's already healing itself. It's got an extra 2 wounds, -1 damage in Coalesce. So you're talking 14 wounds on this monster, -1 to the damage coming into it, and it's got a 5-up ward save. Plus, it's going to be healing itself up to 2 times, 2d3 every turn, generally, unless you're trying to go for summons. And so that makes him really hard to kill. So this is a great monster. It can still do a lot of damage in combat, same as all the other as the other Stegodons. So it is a lot of fun. I am taking a Slon in this one to help me kind of manage the magic. Also, if I'm trying to go for summons, I can with this Engine of the Gods. It also gives me some buffs from I can put out from the Slon as well as some mortals. We've got 2 Stegodons and a Bastiladon. So I've got my Monster Core battalion, or my Monster Core regiment here of a bunch of monsters that go into this list. So this is a 6-drop list, 89 wounds for 1990. I like this list. I like this a lot. We're still getting a lot of monsters in here. We got 5 monsters, but we've also got some flexibility. We've got some objective grabbing units. We've got some magic with the Slon that can really help us there. We've got some summoning if we want to try for it from the engine, and we've got a bunch of monsters here and some good shooting. So I like that. I think it's kind of a well-rounded list, kind of a jack of all trades. You're not really leaning into one thing or the other, but you have a decent flexibility there. You kind of see, you're kind of getting the idea. On this map, a lot of our deployments are somewhat similar. I'm looking to capitalize on these knights scoring objectives, but also they're able to do some damage. You can always double up these units of knights if you want to, along with the Carnosaur to make that kind of big melee bubble if you need to. And then I'm keeping my Slon back. He's going to be generating command points, countering their magic, handing out Mystic Shield and Arcane. Well, you can't really do Arcane Bolt much anymore. And letting things fly, trying to summon if we need them here, and hitting some of his spells, some heals and the like. So we've got our core kind of castle here of monsters. So I like that list. Pretty flexible. So I think it's kind of fun. Of course, I always come back to let's just get as many Stegodons on the table as possible. It is Thunderlizards after all. This is this is the sub faction to have fun with. So if you want some monsters, this is a sub faction for you. So all right, let me know which list you like. Let me know your lists, and if there's some units I missed out on here, because I'm sure there is. Seraphon has such a wide range that we've got plenty of units to choose from. I mean, I didn't even talk like chameleon skinks would make a great addition to a lot of these lists, so that you can have some mobility. Croak, of course, we didn't even get into here. So there's a lot of things that we could have added in here. Salamanders are still good in Coalesce. They get the extra jaw attack. So, all right, let me know what your Thunder Lizard list is, and I'll catch you guys next time.